Welcome everyone to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit Bound, the sexy mob caper movie. So get out your jaw harp and get ready for a very intense conversation.
Welcome everyone to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And Christina, wow, you really just took that intro to new heights.
Thank you.
I've never heard it. We're not usually so descriptive with our intros.
Well, I guess things are changing.
Oh, are they?
Things are a-changing.
Bound, released October 4th, 1996. Christina, we begin, as we always do, by talking about then. Please tell us the first time you ever saw Bound.
Thank you. I think I will. The first time I watched this movie, so I had heard a lot about it. It was a rental, and it was very... almost not really controversial, but it was very notorious.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for. It was just basically it was like a sex movie. This is what everybody was talking about. It was this hot lesbian sex movie.
Wow.
And that's what people talked about.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I'm renting it. And I was like, I need to watch it alone because I'm like, I don't know what this is going to entail. I'm not going to certainly go on a date with this. Like, you don't know what's going to be involved. I'm like, I think I'll watch it for the first time alone.
Yeah.
And, whatever might happen. I'm just kidding. So anyway, I rented this movie and I watched it, and I remember feeling like, wow, this is like super risky, super sexy.
I'm sorry, are you saying risky or risque? Like not risky.
Well, actually both. I'm saying
both.
risky.
Okay. All right.
Because you didn't really see these types of sex scenes between two women or even two men, for that matter, in movies.
Right.
And I thought it was very risky and risque, I suppose. So I just remember being a little bit surprised at them, just because I'd never seen it before. That's the thing. I didn't really remember too much about the actual storyline, to be honest. I remember it was like mob related. I remember there was some sort of a deal going down,
mm-hmm.
but I remember, I definitely remember like the sex scenes,
mm-hmm.
and it was very.
Did you like the movie?
Oh, sorry. I did, but I did feel like I did like the movie. I remember liking it more than I thought I would.
Okay.
Because the way it was billed, really, the only thing anybody ever talked about was the sex.
Yeah, but I believe there's only 2 scenes.
I know.
And only one that has nudity.
I know.
So back then, when you saw it for the first time, did it deliver? It sounds like it did deliver enough sex.
In terms of the sex,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
But again, like they didn't really talk too much about the storyline or anything. So that was my expectation, was the sex.
Yeah.
So that delivered.
Yeah. And so overall, you liked the movie.
So I liked it. I think it met my expectations, I guess is what I should say. How about you, Brian?
Thank you.
I know lesbian sex scenes are really your thing.
Well, here's the truth. I saw this movie. I believe I saw this movie twice in the theater.
Oh my gosh!
I believe it was one of those things that was playing in Boston for like a couple weeks, and so I lived probably 96. I think I lived in Bridgewater then, and I would often schlep into Boston to see these sort of independent or.
We've done that a few times. I think we saw Chuck and Buck.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Together.
I would bring you. I'd bring Shiva. I'd bring Kerry. And to the credit of all of you lovely women, like you were always like game to go see a movie. And the reason why I had to do that is because way back in the 90s, it was very rare to see a gay character, a gay lead character in a movie that wasn't about being gay.
Right.
And so even though they were lesbians, like I wanted to see this movie because you never, ever, ever got to see,
Mm-hmm.
you know, LGBTQ characters on screen in leading roles, unless, like, say, Sharon Stone, Basic Instinct, but she's a potential murderer. So,
Right.
you know, so,
yeah, exactly.
and also, not for nothing, Siskel and Ebert, I remember vividly, that Bound appeared on both of their 10 best lists.
Wow.
So I remember the review, they went crazy about this movie. So I'm like, I'll go see it. To be honest, I don't remember who I saw it with, but I absolutely loved it enough to bring someone else back to see it again with me. And yeah, people I brought with me to see it loved it as well. But it was just so cool. And it was one of those messy mafia movies that is easy to follow. Like, sometimes I'm not into the mafia thing because it's like, oh, this family, that family, this one's screwing over that one.
There's
it's
just
like,
a lot of talking.
Because you're just
a lot of threats.
You know why? Because they're just going to kill each other anyway.
Right. And
so it's like,
you have threats and then you kill each other, and that's it. Wow. End of movie.
Everyone gets hurt personally and then they kill each other. So I was like, okay, but I really loved Bound then.
That's amazing. And thinking about other mobster movies, the women are basically pieces of furniture in these other movies.
That's true. Yeah.
They're never anything major. So anyway, we think about typical ones. So when did you rewatch it?
I rewatched this, I want to say 2 or 3 nights ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I did the same.
Yeah. I wish I could remember. I can't remember. I would say 3 nights ago, to be on the safe side.
And so what did you think? Like, did it live up to your...
Well, I don't want to ruin this right now, but I'm going to say, oh my God, this movie is incredible. Like, from the jump, it is so stylish to the point where, by the way, this is the Wachowskis. I'm not going to say, so back in 1986, the Wachowskis we know from the Matrix series. It was the Wachowski brothers. I think you know this, Christina, but if anyone that might not know, both brothers are now transgender women, and I want to just get this right. They're now so they originally Larry and Andy. They're now Lana and Lily. They both are now trans women.
Are they twins?
Damn it! That's the only, I don't know.
I'm just curious about. I was just very curious. I
think they might be twins. But just to be clear, in Bound, it does say the Wachowski brothers. So this is before the Matrix. And it is so stylish. It to the point where I'm like, I believe if Jennifer Tilly's hair wasn't black, it would have lost something. Meaning, I think every single tiny shade of black, every single shade of gray, every single shade of red. This movie was so well thought out. I think every shot, like this is, to me, I was blown away by how much I enjoyed it all over again.
You know, and it's funny when you're thinking about it, or when you're talking about that, I'm picturing it in it. When you picture it, you almost picture it as black and white.
Yeah, it has that film noir.
Because it just has that feel to it. That's so interesting. So I also watched it a couple of days ago. And what's really funny about this is I rented it from the library. And the title screen comes up. And it gives me a choice between the R-rated version and the unrated version. And I had texted you, remember? And I said, what are we watching? Are we watching the R or the unrated? And you said R, and I said, okay, that's.
And that's reason.
And I think
reason is stop because.
Go ahead.
The reason I said R is because I watched it on Max.
Okay, so I'm gonna look up my text to you because you had a different answer. I said, "Are you watching the unrated or R version of Bound?" And I said, and you said R.
Yeah.
And my response was pussy.
Yeah.
And I laughed. I said, LOL, JK.
Yeah.
And then your response was exactly why I'm not watching it. Smiley face.
Because of course the unrated is just going to be a lot more lesbian sex.
Yes.
That I don't know if it would propel the story, and also it would require me to go to the library to rent it.
Yes.
It's on Max, for
and
God's
that's fine.
sake.
It's totally fine. But here's what happened.
Tell
me. I said that's fine.
Yeah.
So I go to use my remote to click the R. It wouldn't let me play the R. I'm like, what the hell? So I don't know if there may have been another disc that wasn't in the case.
It should still say put in other discs.
It did not say that. Wow. It just would not let me. I'm like, what the hell? So I was forced to watch the unrated version.
I know why it's unrated. So after that conversation, I looked up the little bits. And
yes.
Apparently it is.
The little bits, Brian.
Apparently it is what they're calling hand sex.
Oh, hand stuff. Okay.
Hand stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what got the unrated.
Yes. And I didn't know what to expect. I was hoping it wasn't more violence, which I think I read it after, and it did say there was actually what's interesting is the unrated version with the hand stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't even in the R. Like it was a totally different scene.
Oh.
From what I understand. So it's kind of interesting. But then also, I guess the murder, like the head, like the smashing of the head was more violent.
Oh, really?
So I did end up seeing the unrated version because I had to.
Yeah.
And, but let me tell you, I was very surprised because just watching an unrated version, you're like, yeah this is going to get down and dirty. It wasn't all that shocking.
Yeah.
It really wasn't in this day and age. I'm like, yeah, it's just like, whatever. I don't know if it would have been an unrated version if it was released today. Yeah. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like you saw anything real. Yeah. Like you saw what she was doing to her.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like it wasn't like a porn.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because I did see it in the movie theater, and I actually think that the main sex scene when they're laying in Corky's bed.
Yes.
I really do remember seeing a little bit more with from a certain angle with her hand, and I'm like, maybe, but it was rated R. I don't remember it being unrated when I went to see it.
Yeah, that I feel like that scene, and again, I don't know what you saw, but when the scene that you're talking about, that was the first scene, right?
Well, I count the first scene.
The first scene was on the couch.
With,
yeah. So I think that might have been okay. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. There's that scene, and then the bed. The bed. You can definitely see her hand on her genitals. You can't see the genitals.
Yeah, okay.
So that's probably the difference of the unrated
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, I was really kind of surprised that it wasn't raunchier.
Yeah.
Because my memory of it was, wow, this is so shocking.
Well, let's go back to Basic Instinct. Mm-hmm. I think that those sex scenes, and that was rated R. And we talked about that with the bed, and not that there was it was wild sex scenes. They were just very full on.
Yeah.
Like you saw every inch of Sharon Stone. So it's like, I wondered what made that the hand placement, because Michael Jackson. Oh my God, we do that all the time. Michael Douglas's hands were all over her. They didn't seem to. His mouth was all over her, and they didn't make that NC-17.
No,
but I digress.
Anyway,
so let's get back into the actual plot of the movie.
Yes,
but I'm going to say right off the bat, Jennifer Tilly is so good in this movie. And she's so critical. Her performance is so critical to this, because she has to be this sort of mobster, sort of bimbo, but incredibly smart enough to screw everybody over, and risky and daring enough to have an affair behind the mobster's back. And I think she just she's amazing. I think she's so good in this.
So
oh no.
I will say I liked the movie.
Okay.
My one negative is Meg Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, Jennifer. Oh my God. I wrote down Meg Tilly everywhere. It's so funny. You're right. Oh my gosh.
We can say Violet.
So she was my one negative, and I think it got better as the movie went on, or maybe I just got used to her. But her first scenes
Let's hear it.
Gina Gershon's
Yeah.
character,
Corky.
I was kind of laughing.
I think that's okay.
Who is she trying to be? She didn't seem like an actual real person to me. I'm like, is she Betty Boop? Like, what is she trying to be? So, and I know her voice is unusual to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that helped.
Okay.
But the way she's talking, and the way she's looking.
That is the style of this film.
But I don't feel like the rest of them were acting this way. I felt like the rest of them I know it's a film noir. I get it. I get it. I just felt was way over the top.
Christina.
I know. I knew it was going to be controversial.
Oh my God. I think she's amazing in this.
She's over the top. She's taking Come Hither to a whole new level.
Of course she is.
But it was too much. Like, I really feel like even if I was a person like being hit on by her, I'd have been like, what are you doing? Are you practicing for a play?
Corky does say that to her.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So it was just too much. It was just too much.
What are you doing?
Me.
She asked for that. She wants out. Like, she doesn't, like, she's just looking for things.
Yes.
Like, but wait though. Wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, listen, this movie is, how long is this movie? It's not even that long. And
it's like 90 minutes.
It's like, she is constantly like, she is expediting this entire story. Like, she has to be this bold kind of nuts character. But the thing is, who else would knowingly date a murderous mob boss? Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be a little imbalanced. You have to be a little impulsive. I think
that's what was missing from me. Like, the impulsiveness. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if she was a little bit more forthcoming, like, hey, like more bold, more aggressive.
More aggressive?
Oh,
she goes right over, she sets her up, Corky, repeatedly. Mm-hmm. More aggressive. She walks over with the 2 cups of coffee, and she's like, hi. Her midriff is exposed. Mm-hmm. She's like, I mean, she takes her hand, is like, feel my tattoo on my breast. I mean, how much more forward can she be?
It's just, I felt like, yes, she was obvious, but also just tell her you want her. Don't be all coy. That's the part of it I didn't like, the coyness. Obviously you want her. Obviously you're attracted to her. You're making eyes at her. You're having her touch your tattoo. Just say something to her. Like, be a little bit more direct in how you're speaking to her.
I thought there was a tiny bit of dialogue of that Corky just got out of jail and she doesn't want to be wrapped up in this mob situation.
Yeah.
So she probably wouldn't have necessarily made the first move on Violet.
Well, but you're saying that she did. Oh, wait, no.
No, I'm saying Violet made the first move.
But Violet she should have made more of a move. Instead of just walking around, shaking her ass and being like, hey, come take me. Like, just fucking take her. That's the part I didn't like. I just wanted her to be,
I'm going to say,
a little bit more like, grab her or whatever. She's being all flirty, having her put her finger on her tattoo and all this, right? Why are you going through those motions? Just grab her breast. Grab her and kiss her. Why are you expecting Corky to make the actual first move?
I'm certainly getting a glimpse of Christina the lesbian.
You know it.
Of how you would be.
Don't play around.
How you would be in this situation.
Time is of the essence, right? Caesar's out, so like, just fucking do it. That's just my biggest complaint about that. Once they're together, it's established, it's not as bad for me. It really is just that first part of the movie. I'm like, oh my God, fucking do something.
I think she was just trying.
It wasn't sexy. It was just a little obnoxious.
I think she was trying to learn a little bit more about this woman, like in coy ways, like, but also maybe a little hesitant, because because her boyfriend is a murderer.
But you're saying she wasn't hesitant. She was walking over, exposing herself.
I thought she was more direct than you're giving her credit for.
She was obvious about what she wanted.
She was setting a trap for Corky.
She was obvious about what she wanted. I don't think that she was direct enough. I think she should have just brought her to the bedroom or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, she was doing everything else. She was basically...
She dropped the earring in the drain and all that stuff.
Right,
and
she
like,
should have just
set
put
her...
it right up in her vagina and said, can you find my earring for me? I think I dropped it in my vagina. But here's the other thing that was so gross.
Filthy.
Yeah, talk about filthy. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh, boy. Oh, with the fingers?
Oh, my God.
Smelling
so not only... No, it's not even that. Okay. She sticks her finger in her mouth. Didn't she just fish out freaking earrings out of the pipes? I didn't see a hand washing scene.
Oh my God.
I was like ready to throw up on myself. I'm like, that is so nasty. They could have at least had her shown her washing her hands.
Right. And it's also funny because she does wash her hands later and they are dirty. But then she washes and she goes to sniff her fingers.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, Corky, what are you doing?
Anyway.
The finger sniffing, when she contemplates sniffing her fingers, I'm like, holy shit. I've never seen that in a movie before.
To
be fair, I don't think I've ever seen a male character do that before in a movie. Have you? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I feel like
in a say suspense thriller drama / whatever, and maybe in a stupid dumb teen comedy, perhaps. But I think it would almost be done as for some sort of comedic long game effect.
For some reason, I feel like
I don't know,
have seen it, but I don't know.
Email us if you've ever seen that in a movie.
Yeah, I can't think of it now, but for some reason I feel like there was some weird perverted man who like sniffed his fingers. I don't know. And maybe I'm just thinking about my high school days. No, I'm just kidding.
You'll support this comment because it's a negative about Violet.
Okay.
The coffee scene. There's no way in hell Violet can have coffee in those cups. She's swinging her arms, swinging her hips. She's holding both cups in one hand. And at one point, I know podcast isn't the most visual of mediums, but she has like her mug almost tipped halfway to the side, and then she drinks from it. I'm like, there's nothing in that cup, Violet.
And if it's coffee, it's cold by now anyway.
One thing I loved about Violet, it's true, totally true.
Right?
Did you notice this when she's like, she's asking about her car, and she's like, "Is it a truck?" And she's like, "Oh, it's a truck." She's like, "Of course." And then she's like, "Do you want a drink?" She's like, "A beer." She's like, "Beer." Of course. Oh my God. Like, Violet's like, are you the quintessential lesbian of my dreams?
Yes.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
So,
of course.
And I'm not going to be negative about this thing.
It's okay, no,
because I do like
feel,
it was really mostly the very beginning parts of her and her, like in her voice, like I've said, did not help, and just her actions and her mannerisms.
Recast it. Who'd you put?
I think I would just change the performance. I think she was.
Oh, okay. So
fine.
you didn't mind Jennifer Tilly?
No, I didn't mind Jennifer Tilly.
She was more structure
feel like
in
she
her
needed
performance.
To tone it down a little bit. I think it was the direction.
Okay.
I guess I was thinking about it almost in the Corky interpretation of everything. Like, I'm just thinking, what is she thinking about this woman prancing around her like this?
She's thinking, I've been in jail for 5 years, and my only prospects are fixing up this apartment, and this sexy, hot lady next door wants to screw my brains out. I think that's what she's thinking.
Why would she think that? But I did write here, Violet is the last person I would have trusted. The last person. That is insane. So this is the other thing that I'm just feeling like.
Let's hear it.
I didn't feel like love was anywhere in this equation. It was lust.
Yeah.
It was attraction. And I don't feel like there was any kind of deep emotion involved between the two women.
I think the love was the shared love of wanting something different for their lives.
Yeah, sure. That the common interest, fine.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think like this happens very quickly. This whole story,
the whole thing is like within days.
I think so too. Yeah, and so I do think like I felt like when you're seeing them being beaten around and stuff, that those are like real emotions. Like you do care about this person. So whether or not it's love or not, I agree. It's like, it's not a love story. And so
no, but they everything you read about it is they fall in love and they run away together and all of that. And I just didn't buy it in that way. This woman is getting out of prison, like you said.
Yeah.
5 years in prison.
Yeah.
And then she meets this woman and she's tied to the mob, which she doesn't want to get involved with.
She almost doesn't take the money until
Right.
Caesar says, well, if you don't take the money, then I'm going to have to worry about you.
Right.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to be involved in this. She wants to be straight and narrow. No pun intended. And so then Violet, who is clearly involved with the mob, comes over to try to do this heist thing with her. I just don't see that character trusting her. She just met her.
Really quick, when we think about...
She's super over aggressive with her. Like, she clearly wants her on her side. I just feel like
she flat out says, I'm trying to seduce you. She says that. I'm trying to seduce you.
So what's the reason behind trying to seduce other than trying to manipulate her into doing something that she wants? Where is the trust? Why would she trust her?
She doesn't she say something like when they're at a bar, and she does say like that she wants a different life. Mm-hmm. She identifies who she is. Like, she really, and even at the end they say that exchange about like, what's the difference between me and you? And she's like, no. She's like, me neither. Like, and I don't. To me, that's why I think this performance is so good of Jennifer Tilly as Violet, because she has to balance this, like, she's seducing this woman, but she is also identifying that she is lesbian deep down. And she says, we make our own choices, we pay our own prices. She knows she's done this to herself.
Right.
And she's trying to get out. She doesn't like this life anymore. And so if she can, like I used the word expedite before, if she can expedite this whole situation, Corky's out of jail. Corky likes women. Corky and I are attracted to each other. This is my vehicle to get the hell out of here. And Caesar would never suspect it because he doesn't know I'm a lesbian. Yeah.
I absolutely understand where she is coming from. I don't understand why Corky would trust her.
Go with it.
I just don't understand why.
What are Corky's prospects?
I understand, like, the appeal of it or whatever. I just don't know why someone who just got out of jail is going to trust this woman who is all up just trying so hard to get her on her side. It just doesn't seem like someone who just got out of jail is going to have that trust with this woman.
What are Corky's prospects?
She can continue to work like everybody else in the whole world, do her job.
Yeah. I do imagine that people that when they just get out of jail do not have a whole lot of prospects. And I also think...
But she did get an apartment and she did get a job.
Yes. I also think, though, that, like, sometimes when you have lived a life of crime, it's hard to be on the straight and narrow, as you said.
Right.
So she's probably much more susceptible. And Violet knows that, too. So it's like, you know what? I am just a criminal. I'm just going to keep...
But why would she trust that Violet is telling the truth? I understand everybody's motivation. I do. I get it. I just don't understand how she could trust Violet. She's known her for 2 days.
She says that the thing about the trust, Christina, they talked about that when they said, well, how do I know you're not just going to take the money and run?
Right.
It's like the same way I know you're going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about trust. They have to trust each other. Yeah. That's why.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't believe I got that. Oh God. So,
all right. So the violence was super brutal.
Okay. So this is really funny,
but is it an unrated version? So
yeah, I think
I might have seen a bit more.
I remember seeing it in the movie theater and being like, because this is not my cup of tea, the violence, and especially that premeditated psycho in the room. Oh. I'm just gonna abuse you and torture you. The torture stuff for me is like,
the torture thing is terrible.
But something about it, and I think it's because it's very, very stylized, it didn't really faze me. And I'll tell you, when I read like old like Wikipedia stuff about the movie and some of the reviews, they're like, obviously I'd already seen it twice, 3 times, and it was like, they talk a lot about the violence and the gore. And I'm like, I'm really sensitive to that stuff. And I didn't think it was all that bad.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was weird. I think it was all part of, they had to establish that these guys are awful. And I do think, like, you hear Shelley in the bathroom screaming off camera much more than you spend in the bathroom with them.
True.
But yeah, you're seeing his head bashed against the toilet. You're seeing his fingers get chopped off.
Oh God, that's the worst. the fingers getting chopped off.
I will say, to the credit of the screenplay, thank God they do warn you. Like, it's like, I'm going to ask you 10 times. And it's like, oh, shit. And like,
shit, I know what that means.
I'm not looking.
I know what that means. He has 10 fingers.
Oh, God. Let's see.
Yes.
I love so much of the dialogue between Violet and Corky.
Sorry, I have one more note that I forgot to write. And I know this is just beating a dead horse. But she actually says, Corky actually says that her partner fucked her over. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said the partner fucked her over. Why the hell did she trust her? Yeah. And they've known each other for 2 hours. Anyway, that's it.
Well, but remember too the scene where Corky's staring out the window and she's like, "It's perfect." And I'm going to tell you, that's a note I have. I'm like, "No, it isn't." I'm like, Corky, it's really not perfect. Like, it's not a perfect plan. And of course, anytime a movie character says it's a perfect plan, you know, it's not. It's all going to unravel. But when Corky got so excited about this idea, that's the criminal. Like, that's like
right.
She's like, this is what I'm good at. Yeah.
Yep. She's been suppressing this passion.
Yeah. It's like as much as Violet's suppressing her sexual identity. Yeah. So there you go. I think they identify things in each other. And for Corky, like, remember, Violet's just saying the facts. Corky's the one that's like, oh my God, it's perfect. Here's what we're gonna do. And she had that plan real fast. So I think it was, so when people say it's a love story, I disagree, but I think it's a love story. No. But but I think these women are finding very similar things within themselves that they admire about each other. And the
commonalities, for sure.
Okay. So then I did like how after that, Violet jumps into Corky's truck and she's like, "I'm sorry." And she's like, "You don't have to apologize." She's like, "I'm not apologizing for what I did. I'm apologizing for what I didn't do." And she kisses her and like, "Can we go somewhere?" And then that's the big sex scene. Interestingly enough, when they're talking after that, did you notice this? And it's not actually said in the same conversation. Violet's been with Caesar.
Yes.
Oh, did you notice? For 5 years.
Oh, for 5 years?
Corky was in prison for 5 years.
Interesting. I did not notice that.
They were both, in a sense, bound. It's a very smart movie.
There it is.
She was bound in prison. Violet was bound in this mafia relationship.
That's great. It was very subtle. I didn't get that.
Yep. I did laugh when Corky's really giving Violet a hard time about Shelley, and Violet says, "You think you're the only one who's good at something?" And she's like, "Yeah, but Shelley," and then Corky goes, "Let me guess. Because she's saying that she gets paid. She's basically a prostitute."
Right.
And Corky says, "Let me guess. You're a workaholic." I thought it was pretty funny.
That was funny. That was great.
And then they fight, and Violet says, "Trying to steal anything on the way out." Like,
fantastic. Yeah.
Brutal.
That's really good. But yeah, so I wrote down that the plan would be great, aside from the fact that Caesar is so unhinged.
Yes.
Like, there isn't anyone I could think of that is less predictable than Caesar.
Yeah.
So the fact that they think that he's going to do this, he's going to react this way, and then he's going to do that. Like, have you met him?
Also, my issue with the plan is what happens the next day?
Right.
Like, Violet is suddenly gone, along with this woman who wouldn't stop hanging around the house with his girlfriend. And she's an ex-con. He knows that. And then suddenly they're just completely gone. He can't track her down to save his life, along with $2.137 million.
Right. And I mean, the mob.
They would track them down. They would track them down now. That's a big negative I have about the story, is that, like, she's saying to the guy at the very end, she's like, "I just need to get away from it all." It's like, really? That's gonna fly? Right. They don't trust anyone.
Right.
No one trusts anyone in the mafia world. Right. So they're gonna let Violet.
Okay, Violet.
Who said on the phone, Caesar made me do it.
Mm-hmm.
Caesar made me do it. I didn't want to. He made me. And she screams and hangs up. So that means Violet knows where the money is. It means Violet would know where Caesar's going. Right. It means Violet has a lot more information.
Yeah, why is she so special? Like, they like her so much.
He wanted to. Then I read one of the synopses said he asked her out on a date. I'm like, did he at the end? I don't know. Yeah,
I think he.
I thought it was more like just like join us, like hang out with me. I didn't think it was romantic.
I took it as romantic.
Oh, you did? Okay,
I forget the actual terminology, but I did get the sense that he wanted her to be his girlfriend
now. Wow.
And they alluded to it a bunch of times that he really liked her.
If I had it, that's true. If I had a girl like Violet.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Violet.
But he's still a mobster.
Absolutely. Chris Maloney shows up.
Oh my gosh.
I completely spaced out the
Oh my gosh, movie. I totally forgot.
I remember his character. I didn't remember it was him.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. You know who I pictured was what's his face?
Justin Theroux. Kind of looks like him.
He does. No, when I was picturing the character, I was picturing, oh my God, what's his name? From Dog Day Afternoon, from The Godfathers, the guy who's just been in all the hits, Al Pacino's friend. What's his name?
Yeah.
He was so good.
Oh, damn it.
He was so good. But that's the face I was picturing.
Yeah. Is it Cassavetes?
No.
What was his last? I can't remember.
I'm going to look it up.
Anyway, so Chris Maloney shows up. He's a raging lunatic. And I loved this line from Caesar. He's great, by the way. Is it... Oh, my God. I didn't write down his name either. Joey...
Joe Pantaleone.
He was in the Goonies too, right?
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff.
A million things we've watched,
He's been in... Yeah, he's
so good. So good in this.
He was my favorite part of this whole thing.
Really?
He was fantastic. Just so...
Unhinged is a great word.
Exactly, unhinged. Yeah. He's such a crazy guy. But he also is so good at like he goes back and forth. Like, he's completely crazy, and all of a sudden he's like trying to talk to the mob guys. And like, hey, yeah, like he can switch it back and forth so easily, and it just really just showcases how nuts he is.
Baby, that's what I love about you. You're so fucking sensitive. Great line. And then later we really get to it after the torture of Shelley. Violet says to Corky, I want out. I want a new life.
John Cazale.
Okay.
John Cazale.
Gino...
That's what I thought. It's not him. I just thought it was. Like, when I was picturing it, that's what it was.
Violet couldn't have been less subtle, dropping that...
Again.
It's like, here's what you're going to do, Violet. You're going to drop the bottle that Gino
basically
loves.
Throws it up in the air.
She seriously walks in the middle of the room and goes, smash. Yeah, I mean, like, just at least be in the kitchen. Why would you be in the kitchen?
God.
At least, I mean, make it look somewhat convincing. Why is she carrying the bottle across the room?
Yeah, that was
weird. Oh my God. Oh, that drove me nuts. And I know that this is way before cell phones.
Sure.
But how many times was she going to fucking call Corky to update her on shit?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Man,
what are you doing? Thin walls? Like, how are you sneaking away every 5 minutes to call Corky? There should have been a plan
about when you were going to contact each other.
Yes.
Like, come on, you're right next door. Throw a note underneath the door or something.
How about this? How about this? One knock means this, one knock, two knocks that. I mean, you don't just fucking pick up the phone. Beep, bop, beep, 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 bop, beep.
It's so dumb.
Like, oh my God. Like, this is such a bad idea. Bad idea.
The only thing that would be worse is if it was a rotary phone.
Oh my God. or they're just shouting out the window at each other. Corky! I dropped the bottle.
She probably heard it.
She probably heard the bottle.
The thin walls.
And Corky, really, put a glass to the wall. I mean, like, why is poor Violet's going to get murdered?
So the suspense was amazing in this movie. Yeah. So this is where it really sucked me in. This whole mob part of it. It was so good. So unpredictable. I forgot so much of this movie because, again, like, I was so fixated on like lesbian stuff. But the storyline, I feel like it just takes a back seat because everyone talks about the lesbian stuff. I really like it's to its detriment, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good and the performances are amazing.
Yep.
It is so unpredictable. He's losing his shit.
Yeah.
He's figuring it out and he ends up fucking killing the mob boss.
I love the way that's all shot. How he falls backwards.
So
and it's like it's
good.
Really because it's just like you see the close up of Caesar's face, you see his eyes close and he pulls the trigger and then it cuts to the big mob boss and he looks gigantic in that shot. Gino, and he falls backwards. It is such a cool sequence.
It is amazing.
And you're just like, because even though like he's a deranged bad guy, you fucking feel bad for him.
You have a lot of empathy for this guy.
It's suddenly you're like,
this is really speaks to the performance, right?
Like you're like, oh my God.
You feel for him, even though he's this crazy mob guy.
Yeah, it's really like it's crazy because the movie just in the 15 seconds, you're like, oh my God, poor Caesar, and you're like, oh my God, he's so screwed right now. And it's like,
he's the victim in all of this. Everybody's fucking him over, and he just loses it and really digs himself deeper than he ever could have been.
And even though he was chopping Shelley's fingers off, he beat up Chris Maloney's Johnny because he killed Shelley, and that wasn't part of the plan.
Yes.
So it's like, he cared about Shelley, even though Shelley was hiring his girlfriend to sleep with her, but sleep with him. I thought it was amazing when Caesar has the gun on Violet.
Yep.
And she slaps him in the face. And I was like, holy shit. Like, but it was like, I was like, that's really something. Like, someone has a gun on you and you slap them in the face for being rude.
That's pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
That's pretty awesome. She's got some scruples, I guess. Huh?
Oh my God.
Don't you dare treat me like a whore.
How about when, and I love that shot too, where, so Caesar believes Johnny is really obsessed with Violet and he won't stop hitting on her, hits on her all the time. Yep. And Violet has created this story that Johnny had run into the house when she snuck out, when she ran out for the booze, even though it was actually Corky. Fine. But how about when Johnny bends down to kiss Violet's hand when he walks in the room and Caesar just has this demented look on his face. Like he's watching every move Johnny makes, which actually incriminates Violet more and more.
Well, yes. And that's that's the best part. This guy he doesn't trust anybody. So he is the character that Gina should have been. Doesn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't trust, like, of course he's going to think that Violet was in on it.
Right.
Why wouldn't he think
it was not a great plan. Not a great plan.
Not a great plan.
And then honestly, I remember watching this movie theater and it was similar to even Rewatch where it's like, you're like, even though it's doubtful they would kill off both of these female characters.
Right.
But you're like, oh my God, Violet, like the tension is really, really strong. And all these characters in their own way are pretty like irredeemable.
Yes.
But you care.
You do. You care about the girls and you care about Caesar.
Yeah. I love one of the best lines is when the cops show up.
Oh my God.
And he's like, relax. He's like, relax, they're just cops. And then he within 5 minutes while they're in the elevator, he's mopping up blood. He's throwing the dead bodies in the bathroom.
Oh my God, moving the furniture around. So
whenever they said, so Caesar, why is the furniture rearranged? Like my heart.
It dropped,
sank.
Right? Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine
I was like,
too.
oh my, these guys don't miss a trick.
These guys, so smart.
Yeah. Because they're used to being fucked over. They're used to people
they need to be suspicious.
And that's how suspicious they are.
They should be that suspicious. But the cops, even stepping on the rug and it's still wet with the blood. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna track he's gonna track it out.
Well, I just figured he would just shoot the cops too. I mean, it would just be a bloodbath.
I figured something was gonna go down.
A literal bloodbath at that point. Mm-hmm. Let's see. The phone rings in the next room. So I kind of jumped. My next note is, wake up, you fucking dyke. Oh my God. And then he says, you queers you people can't be trusted. I was like, holy shit, I guess he's a little homophobic.
Well,
it like all came crashing. Like Caesar suddenly just like it all came flowing out in like 3 seconds.
Yep. I did write that Violet is best when she has balls.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just thought she was amazing. The one thing, and I feel like I missed a chunk of dialogue here, but Caesar walks in Corky's apartment and immediately tips the paint buckets over. Did he know they were in there? Like immediately, Christina.
Yeah, I'm not sure why either, unless there just wasn't anything
anywhere else to look.
Yeah, like she didn't have furniture.
She had a fireplace.
True.
That's true. She didn't have furniture, but it was almost like he walked in and just tipped the bucket. I mean, maybe because he was going crazy.
Did she say something about the paint buckets?
She didn't. I was like, wow, he like went right for the paint buckets.
Interesting. I'm not sure why either.
It was a great shot though. Really quick, backtracking a little bit with all the dollar bills.
That was so cool.
And then ironing everything feverishly.
Yes.
Violet helped me relax in the shower. That Violet is one nice lady. It's such a great movie moment, although I do think she got a little carried away when she says, you know what, Caesar, you don't know shit. I don't know if she needed to unload her entire gun on Caesar. I think maybe a couple shots would have.
Yeah, just a couple is probably fine.
Kind of went a little nuts.
She has a lot pent up, though. You know,
a lot pent up,
5 years
and a lot to lose. He needs to die.
Yes.
Yeah. And then my big note, and it's a big negative, is, like I said before, why isn't Violet worried about being tracked by Mickey?
Right.
He is already in love with her, and she said, he made me do it. If Caesar made you do it, then you did some bad stuff. Yeah. Why are people okay with you going, I just need to get away from it all?
Yeah, she's really leaning a lot on her sexuality once again.
Yeah, and she fucking walks away and just jumps in Corky's truck. Like, they're not watching her do this?
Right. You would think that the mob would be more on top of that.
At least saying, like, I'm just going to hang out with my sister. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, she literally said, I just need to get away from this all of this.
Right.
They can't
And I have $2 million to help me.
They can't find the money. I don't think this is going to work out for them.
No. No. I wonder if, like, they were thinking maybe there'd be a sequel or something.
Yeah. The other thing that annoyed me, and it's so minor, but because I loved it so much, I really loved it. But she puts like sunglasses on, and it cuts to her, and she has the sunglasses off. It's a minor, but
minor but stupid.
But but they show her putting them on, and the next shot she has them off. I'm like, oh, that's weird. But the big question.
Well, I have one more.
Oh, let's hear it. Sorry.
It just says that there's a kiss at the end, so she kisses Mickey at the end, and I'm like, why would she do that? She does actually kiss Mickey at the end.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I did write the quote down, like, you know what the difference is between you and me, Violet? Me neither.
Yeah. I think the kiss, so it's funny because at first, like I said, I didn't even think he meant romantically with Violet, but with the kiss, to me, it was almost like her keeping him warm, so to speak. Yeah. Meaning like he would never think Violet would do something like this because she's been so close to, like physically close to him. Mm-hmm. She wasn't running away. Like in that moment, she was like as close to him as she could be. Like you're saying, using her sexuality or sensuality. But yeah, so Christina, I think I know where this is going, but more, less, or about the same on rewatch.
Well, I think you're going to be a little surprised if you think you know me.
Okay.
I actually liked it a bit more.
Nice.
Because I liked it last time, but again, I didn't remember a lot of the mob stuff. And I feel like this time watching it, that was the strongest part of the whole damn thing. The shocking, and I'm air quoting here. Yeah,
she's doing air quotes.
Shocking lesbian sex scenes aren't that shocking anymore. Yeah. So that part of it was really on the back burner, and I could focus much more on the actual mob part of it. I thought Joe was fantastic. Like he was the best part of the whole movie for me. Mm-hmm. But his performance was amazing. I loved the story. I loved the suspense. I loved all of the little different pieces that had to be worked out. So yeah, I actually liked it more.
Nice. Definitely more for me. But it was super stylish. like I said, black, white, red, like all the use of color or lack of color. And what I mean, everything was. Oh, I love when I can't read my writing.
Isn't that the best?
Oh, I said everything was so well thought out in place, like the art direction, everything. Like, and I'm being serious. Like when I said it earlier, I think like even like just the cast, like the casting of people, and like from like body type to hair color to everything. It's like it all fit the scene. It was really well done. And again, I'm going to say it again, Jennifer Tilly. I think it's a very, very underrated performance.
Very.
I have some trivia that might shock you.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm
Budget,
excited to be shocked.
Budget $6 million. Box office $7 million.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Because why?
Because it wasn't. I didn't think it was a big release. Wasn't it more of an independent?
Yeah, that's true. It had limited release.
Yeah,
that's true. You're right.
Say that again?
You're right, Christina. You have a bigger issue with that than I do. I just feel like I say you're right all the time. You're wrong about Jennifer Tilly, but you're right about that. Get this though, original casting.
Okay.
Jennifer Tilly was originally cast as Corky.
Oh, that's weird.
But that, well, then I know because I can't picture her being like this handyman, tough. Yeah.
No.
In the original Violet, and this is weird too. I forget the other way around. Linda Hamilton.
Oh my God.
As Violet.
Yeah, the other way around. For sure.
Linda Hamilton should have been Corky.
Yes.
But I think Gina Gershon. Oh my God, she's incredible.
She was very
she's
good
so
in
good in this.
She was great.
Yeah,
Award? There were
Linda,
nominations or anything?
I didn't. No, I don't think so. I think it was up for like best. I mean, it was one of those like best kiss. I think for like MTV,
like an MTV award. Yeah.
I think it won a couple of critics awards, but nothing.
No independent.
No, nothing stuff. Big. I don't think. And then yes, Linda Hamilton dropped out, and then Jennifer Tilly. I think when they were talking to Gina Gershon, she's like, "I want to be Violet," and I think that was she. Yeah, well, I already said it. I have a match game.
I also have a match game. Why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, Christina, you're not going to believe this.
Oh, no.
Before Caesar dated Violet, he was dating, you guessed it, Dumb Dora.
Oh, that's dumb Dora.
Dumb Dora was so dumb.
How dumb was she? She
thought Gino, Caesar, and Johnny's family business was blank. I feel like this is like, I don't want to say anything.
Okay. Ding.
Ding. I hope you get this. She thought Gino's and Caesar's and Johnny's family business was
a pizza pie.
Yay! Because I was like, it was really funny. I was thinking about it because it was like Papa Gino's, Little Caesar,
and
I'm sure there's a Johnny's
I'm
Pizza.
Sure there's a Papa Johnny's somewhere.
Oh, there is Papa John.
Oh, Papa John!
Papa John's. It's all three. I wonder if that's not a coincidence. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh!
Little Caesar,
very,
Papa Gino. Little Caesar, Papa Gino, and Papa John's. That's is so funny.
So funny.
Although I'll tell you this really quick. Hi, Rob, if you're listening. When I lived in Disney World for the college program, I went to order pizza, and I called, and information was like, a human being. And it was like, hi, I'm like, can I have the number for Papa Gino's, please? And this is how worldly I was. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? And my two of my roommates were looking at me like, what? And I'm like, Papa Gino's, like Papa Gino's, like the pizza place. Rob's like, yeah, bro, that's not a thing here. And I was like, because like Rob was from Massachusetts as well, but like, Papa Gino's. I mean, did you ever to me? Papa Gino's was like might as well have been
right.
Cross,
I mean, back then it was like anything
brand.
Around was going to, Dunkin' Donuts is everywhere, and just. Like,
I mean, Papa Gino's was branded itself as. It just felt very like. It
didn't feel local.
It didn't feel local. You walked into Papa Gino's and it was like it felt like you were in one of many.
Right, for sure. That's hilarious.
Let's hear yours, Christina.
All right. So Caesar. He really should have known better than to trust Violet.
No. What happened?
Especially when he found blank in her purse.
Oh, no.
He should have known. He should have known not to trust her when he found blank in her purse.
Okay, I hope the judges will be okay with this.
Okay.
It's thematic. And I see.
Just write it down. We'll see what the judge says. The judge is being
All right, ding.
Caesar really should have known better than to trust Violet, especially when he found blank in her purse.
A Lilith Fair ticket stub.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
/ Melissa Etheridge.
So that's very cute.
What did you have?
So I wasn't thinking lesbian at all. I was thinking trust issues.
Oh.
So I think he should have known better when he found his wallet in her purse.
That's cute. Very cute.
But not a match.
So as of right now, Bound is on Max. You can
okay.
also support your local library and see
Absolutely.
the unrated,
trashy
version.
You won't have any choice, apparently. You have to watch the unrated. So anyway, yes. And that was Bound.
And that's it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or YouTube, where we have our episodes as well as a little extra.
And if you have any questions about our show, any suggestions for movies we could revisit, reach out to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening.
This is Brian.
And this is Christina. Until next time.